What is the biggest mistake I've made as a Christian artist? Stay tuned.
Indie Jones, back with a trendy flow. I'm still trying to find my voice in this here scenario. Here we go.
Yo, what's going on? My name is Ruslan, hip-hop artist, creative entrepreneur. I run a small mom-and-pop shop label here in beautiful San Diego, California called King's Dream Entertainment. And this series was inspired by a quote I heard from Richard Dawkins. And the quote is, organisms that can only learn from trial and error will lose to organisms that can learn from other people's trial and error. And so Mistake Mondays is hopefully a way for you guys to learn from some of my mistakes so you don't have to do the trial and error yourself. I've been doing music for a very long time. Some people will call me a quote-unquote Christian artist, and I don't really like that label, but I'm also not going to deny anything attached with Christ, meaning that if someone calls me a Christian husband, I wouldn't get offended by that. If someone called me a Christian father, a Christian friend, a Christian influencer, I wouldn't be offended by that title, and so I'm kind of over trying to be resistant to it. But I think that in being resistant to it, I made a lot of mistakes early on that kind of messed me up, and I really was fighting for the wrong, I don't want to say the wrong things, but just the things that didn't matter as much, if that makes sense. As a Christian, the most thing I should be known for is Jesus. I should be known for the love of Jesus. I should be known for the heart of Jesus, and that should flow out of my music. Now, I'm not necessarily advocating for being a Christian rapper or not a Christian rapper, rapper that's Christian, a Christian hip hop. Like, none of that. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about me as a Christian artist. The biggest mistake I've made is, one, being apprehensive and resistant to the label, even though I technically fit it, and two, fighting and advocating for liberties that didn't really matter. I'll take you back. I had an album coming out in 2015 called Do For One. It's an album about a story of a character that I kind of made up and his progress and his process of starting out as an artist, making it, and then kind of falling away from his faith and then coming back to his faith. And it was a really cool record. It was a concept record. It was linear. There was a linear storyline, which is kind of problematic. But in the record, I had some edited out cuss words in the window of time where the character wasn't a Christian. He wasn't walking with God. I did it artistically. It was on a hidden song. It wasn't really that big of a deal in hindsight. But then I ended up doing an interview with the great people of Rapzilla. Shout out to Rapzilla. I have a great relationship with Rapzilla. This is not to rag on Rapzilla, but I did a long, like 3-hour interview. Okay, maybe it wasn't 3 hours. It was like an hour-and-a-half interview after we had driven, I think, from like Albuquerque to Austin for South by Southwest. So I get in, I'm tired. I'm supposed to perform at this thing. I think I perform, and then we do this like a long interview. And somehow we get on the topic of language and profanity. And I just kind of shared my thoughts on language and profanity and like, yeah, like I think it's the context and the heart and all these different things. And then the title of the article was something along the lines of Ruslan says profanity is not a sin or something just like polarizing. And I ended up getting lit up in the comments on social media, on Facebook, because I came off like the guy that was advocating for Christians using profanity, which is not my heart. Like, that's not even what I was about at the time. It was like I had this liberty and this artistic expression. I looped my pastors into the process. They saw what I was attempting to do. And people still listen to that record till this day, and that's not even something they struggle with or fumble across. It's just they understand in the linear of that record. But I made that point the hill that I was willing to die on, which in hindsight was stupid. Till this day, we just did a podcast with my man Foggy Raw. He uses the N-word in his music, and he explained why he uses it. Some people think that's profanity, some people don't. I don't really have an issue with stuff like that. But advocating and making that the focal thing of my brand, the polarizing, this is what he's about. Ruslan's the guy that talks about Christians cussing, right? Alienated a lot of potential listeners that didn't come back to me until way down the road. So I pigeonholed myself inside of a niche, meaning the niche was Christian music. My audience was a lot of Christians, but then I went into a smaller niche of Christian music who are okay with edited cuss words in their Christian music. But that shouldn't even been a point. Like, people could have heard it and been like, oh, whatever. So that's the biggest mistake I made as a Christian artist. Those of you guys that are starting out, man, count the cost and be careful which hill you want to die on. If you have some particular liberty, if you're the guy that likes to have a glass of wine or alcohol, I don't have a problem with that, but don't make that the focal point of your ministry. Don't be known as the guy that advocates for Christians drinking alcohol and you want to have a Christian audience. It's just going to confuse people. It's not going to be beneficial, and it's probably not going to be sustainable. So hopefully that helped you guys. Wow, that was really hard to be honest about that, if I have to be honest, but hopefully that helped you guys. Let me know in the comments section, what other mistakes do you want to hear me talk about? Give this video a thumbs up. Share it with someone that'll help. And if you want to see more videos like this, consider partnering with us on Patreon.